to the WrestleHavoc podcast on YouTube, where we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. We talk all that goes on in the realm of WWE and AEW every week. And now, here's your host, the one that will give you a reality check on pro wrestling, Flamin' Ricky DeReyes. This is the WrestleHavoc podcast.
What's up, everybody? It is Flamin' Ricky DeReyes right here on the WrestleHavoc podcast, here to review AEW Dynamite from January 3rd, 2024, coming to us from my home state of New Jersey. Of course, it is the first Dynamite of 2024, and I got a lot of things to talk about on this show. Overall thoughts on Dynamite. Dynamite was a great show. I had a blast at the show. It was a great show. Of course, we had the explanation from Adam Cole, as well as, of course, his new group, the Undisputed Kingdom. Christian Cage delivered a hilarious promo because he is probably right now one of the best heels in the industry. We had Swerve Strickland versus Daniel Garcia in the main event. We had a four-way match with Brian Cage, Trent Beretta, and, of course, El Hijo del Vikingo in a number one contenders match for Eddie Kingston's Continental Crown. We also had the International Championship on the line as Orange Cassidy defends his title against Dante Martin. Plus, the women's division. Yes, a lot of news in the women's division right now in AEW as Deonna Purrazzo, yes, a native of New Jersey, the virtuosa herself, Deonna Purrazzo, is all elite, and I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts on that right here on the AEW Dynamite review. Of course, I attended AEW Dynamite. I was at the show last night at the Prudential Center. That's why the review is up so late. I actually had to rewatch the entire show and take notes on the show because there was no chance in hell I was going to take notes at a show that I was at because, honestly, the crowd in New Jersey was just absolutely energetic. Phenomenal. Every time when AEW comes to New Jersey, the crowd is just always energetic. And that is why I believe New Jersey has one of the best wrestling crowds in all of wrestling. Hey, WWE. I know you guys do not like going to New Jersey for your television or pay-per-view shows, but please, for the love of God, have a pay-per-view or a Raw or SmackDown in New Jersey. Please, I beg of you. But we're going to be talking about AEW Dynamite and much more right here on the WrestleHavoc podcast. But before I get on with all this craziness, please make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Of course, if you guys had missed it, WrestleHavoc Daily, the first two WrestleHavoc Dailies from the past 2 days are up on the channel. Of course, the first video is talking about Mercedes Moné and her status. It looks like she is on her way to All Elite Wrestling. Plus, Triple H's announcement on the WWE Preview Special 2024 that will be airing on Peacock. That announcement is actually going to be happening tonight. So, there's speculation on whether or not there could be a potential partnership between WWE and TNA. That has been debunked, but that episode of WrestleHavoc Daily is up on the channel, and I will be uploading another WrestleHavoc Daily episode today as well, immediately after this Dynamite review is up on the channel as well. I was just more focused on this Dynamite review, considering the fact that I was actually at the show. And also, usually when, a show ends, I immediately go for the review immediately after. So that's why I'm a little bit late on this Dynamite review. But nonetheless, I'm here to cover AEW Dynamite for you guys. Those two videos will be in the links in the description below. All right, let's get on with AEW Dynamite. The show kicks off with a pre-taped video package of Samoa Joe immediately after he won the AEW World Champion from MJF this past Saturday at the AEW World's End pay-per-view. One thing that I didn't like about the show is that we didn't get Samoa Joe physically at the show. Like, he wasn't at the Prudential Center, which pissed me off because I really was expecting Samoa Joe and I was excited to see Samoa Joe, and we didn't get that. But he will be on AEW Dynamite next week, emanating from Daly's place. But at least we got this video package of Samoa Joe, this promo backstage that he cut immediately after he beat MJF. It was a phenomenal promo. to say the least. The main event scene in AEW is becoming stacked, ladies and gentlemen. Granted, it was always stacked, but the possibilities are endless at this point. So in the promo, he says, of course, he's not a prophet, but he gave you the future. He's not sure, he's not seer, but he saw what the future held, and it was this championship. He isn't a man that makes predictions, but he's a man who makes promises. And MJF, of course, not, long ago at Grand Slam, he used everything within his power to steal from him, which is this title. And he thought that some way that he would rest and the rest of the scumbags in New York would appreciate him for what he does. No, MJF. What he does to him, he revisits upon you 1,000-fold. And he embarrassed him and he cheated. And he used everything within his disposal to take this from him, that being the AEW World Championship. And he turned everyone he loved against him, and he showed up in his neighborhood in front of his friends and family, and he took everything from him. And he may be a scumbag, but he is a heartless son of a bitch. And in a world that's not big enough for men like him and MJF, he will always take what's his because he is Samoa Joe. He is your AEW champion, and he will take everything from anyone who tries to take the title from him. Great opening promo to kick off Dynamite, straight to the point. I love it when wrestling shows do that, because usually AEW tends to have a lot of criticism, and rightfully so. Usually when something big happens, they don't open the Dynamite show immediately on what everybody's on their mind, which is ridiculous. They don't open up the Dynamite shows usually with the thing that is on everybody's mind, which is the big thing that happened at the pay-per-view. And in this case, AEW knocked it out of the park with a promo by Samoa Joe, but also an explanation by Adam Cole, the devil himself. So the show actually kicks off with Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom. Yes, that is what the new group is called, the Undisputed Kingdom. It's consisting of Adam Cole, the Kingdom, and Roderick Strong, and Wardlow. Wardlow, once again, is in a faction. They have new theme song, which is absolutely great. I will miss the original Adam Cole AEW theme song, but I understand Adam Cole is a heel right now, so we're not going to be getting that theme song. We didn't get an Adam Cole Bay Bay or Boom by the Crowd, or we did get a Boom by the Crowd, but it was slightly different. But we didn't get the Adam Cole Bay Bay, which I always love doing whenever I'm at AEW shows and whenever Adam Cole comes out. But Adam Cole is the devil, so he ain't going to do that shit. But Adam Cole sits in a chair with the devil mask in the center of the ring, with all of his henchmen behind him. And this promo, ladies and gentlemen, was very, very, very good. Heel Adam Cole is the best version of Adam Cole. People need to understand and appreciate how good of a heel Adam Cole really is. But, of course, behind him is the devil's henchman, as I stated earlier, the Kingdom, Roderick Strong, and Wardlow. Strong has the mic and says, "Everybody, shut up and listen to my best friend, Adam!" Cole has the microphone. You guys don't have sympathy, right? He finds it so ironic that many people were disgusted and shocked by what happened at World's End. And that means one of two things. One, you're all stupid, and two, you don't understand right from wrong. You think he is the bad guy because he betrayed MJF. You know, MJF is the guy who created more enemies in AEW than everybody else, says Adam Cole. The guy who for years has to run his mouth about every single person in the locker room, and he is the bad guy. And if that makes him the devil, then buy him a first-class ticket to hell. We get a bunch of asshole chants by the crowd in New Jersey. New Jersey is not holding back. That's why it's the greatest state in the world, ladies and gentlemen. MJF is a narcissist, says Adam Cole. The only person that MJF cares about is MJF. And MJF, he has had his, of course, title hooked in AEW for far too long, and it's about damn time that there was a change. Because someday, a lot of them will now thank him. Most of the locker room will thank him, and we get a bunch of "he's our scumbag" chants. Cole says most of us fans someday will thank him. Hell, even Tony Khan will thank him. Because MJF is gone, and he is never coming back. How could you, Adam? How could you turn on the great MJF? Well, there's a lot of reasons why he did what he did. First of all, the second MJF felt like he didn't need him anymore, he would have done the exact same thing, which is very true, by the way. He just beat him to the punch. But that is the key word, need. Because Adam Cole never needed MJF. MJF needed Adam Cole. He sacrificed everything within that friendship. For God's sakes, that is how he broke his damn ankle, which is very true. He is the one who lost something, not him. MJF needed Adam Cole. As a matter of fact, none of us would be cheering MJF if it wasn't for Adam Cole. Better Than You, Bay made us fall in love with MJF. That is him. He saved MJF's world title reign and also ended it. Because in the beginning, this was all about the AEW World Championship. But then it turned into something so much more, says Adam Cole. This is about destroying a man to his core. It's about ripping out a man's heart and bringing him to his knees because you can't chant all that we want because, boys and girls, MJF is dead. We got a bunch of shut the fuck up chants by the crowd. But he will tell you who is very much alive, and that is the Undisputed Kingdom. And aside from everything else, from the guy that doesn't work here anymore, they have one goal in common, and that is to win championship gold. They have Mike Bennett and Matt Taven, the current Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions. His real, that is the key word right there, his real best friend, Roderick Strong, will go after the International Championship, and Wardlow, finally with a group of people who actually respect him. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to stop right there. Wardlow went from being a part of MJF when he first debuted, then a part of the Pinnacle. Then the Pinnacle kind of fizzled out into obscurity by itself, and he was still with Wardlow. And then Wardlow became literally the biggest thing in AEW, and then AEW fumbled Wardlow not once, but twice, but 3 times. He comes back, he targets MJF, and now he's in a faction all over again. Holy shit. But he talks about Wardlow, and he says Wardlow, is going to go after the AEW World Championship. And when the time is right and when he is 100% healed up, Wardlow will do the right thing. And he will forfeit the AEW World Championship and give it to him. Speaking to the AEW World Championship, congratulations to Samoa Joe. It was an absolute pleasure of doing business with him. But Joe, he sincerely hopes that by the time Wardlow moves up the ranks and is ready to challenge for the title, he hopes that he is not the champion because it would really, really, really suck to hurt a friend. Self-esteem is built on action, and they took action. They were sick and tired for things to change because AEW needed change, and they gave it to you. The Undisputed Kingdom starts a new chapter in AEW, and the devil is here to stay, baby. After that, Jay White comes out. Yes, the first victim of all of those devil attacks a couple of months ago. His good friend, Adam Cole, Bay, or who we now know as the Devil. He's actually very impressed, very happy that he hasn't lost his edge after all. He's actually a big fan of what he did to little old MJF, but he doesn't like being a collateral and making him the catalyst to all of this when he was all by himself. Now we know that he was under the devil mask, and he isn't alone. And what happens is the Guns. Yes, Austin and Colton Gunn of Bullet Club Gold come out to a huge pop in New Jersey. Bullet Club Gold could be babyfaces in the future. You never know. The Guns and Jay White run to the ring and attack the Kingdom. Meanwhile, Adam Cole, with his crutches because he is still injured, is literally on the outside just waiting to see, the Kingdom just beat the shit out of Bullet Club Gold. Wardlow enters the fray, and now it's a 4-on-1 scenario. Adam Cole is cheering on the outside. Meanwhile, the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn, come out for the save, and then the heels retreat. Adam Cole is blocked by medical personnel saying that he isn't cleared, and then the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold are in the ring. Both teams face off against one another, and the crowd is chanting for them to scissor, but what happens is Bullet Club retreats. Overall thoughts on this opening segment. I love the fact that AEW went straight to the point in this opening segment with Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom, which is now the new name for the group. Clearly, MJF is right now taking time off because he is nursing an injury. He has had multiple injuries ever since, he became the AEW World Champion. And MJF deserves all the time off that he deserves. And honestly, if you think about this, MJF is not going anywhere. I know a lot of people were talking about how MJF was removed off of the AEW roster page and they're expecting him to show up in WWE anytime soon. That is not going to be the case. MJF is going to get hyped around on AEW TV while he's away from television. And I don't want to make that comparison because this storyline is nowhere near as impactful as the NWO storyline. But basically what they are doing is telling the Sting story, but with MJF and Adam Cole. Adam Cole is running roughshod, and the Undisputed Kingdom is running roughshod all over AEW. Meanwhile, MJF, even though he's nursing an injury, they had Sting, when they were doing the NWO angle back in 1997, 1996, Sting was basically out for a whole year. He was out. He did not even wrestle throughout the majority of 1997. They're basically going to be doing the same thing with MJF, probably just not have him not wrestle for like a whole year. They're going to basically, once he is set to compete, once he is cleared, they're going to bring him out, and MJF is going to be a much bigger star because of it. And then, of course, his first target is going to be Adam Cole. Another thing that is interesting, of course, Adam Cole talked about how the Undisputed Kingdom is going after championship gold. He mentioned Wardlow. How many times has AEW fumbled Wardlow? They fumbled Wardlow so many times, I'm starting to feel bad for the man. Now, Adam Cole says that Wardlow is going after the AEW World Championship. That is great. One thing, though, is that the entire direction of the AEW World Championship title scene is absolutely stacked. You have, right now, Samoa Joe is the champion. You got a guy like Swerve Strickland who wants to go after that title. Clearly, Adam Cole wants to go after that title. Wardlow's going to go after that title. Hangman possibly as well. And another guy is clearly Will Ospreay. Jay White wants to go after that title as well, even though, he lost his shot against MJF at the Full Gear pay-per-view. There's a lot of guys right now that want to go after the AEW World title, and that is a good thing because, again, it keeps focus on the AEW World title scene. Just my only concern is how are we going to get to where we need to get to when it comes to the Wardlow aspect of the storyline with him potentially winning the AEW World Championship and handing it over to Adam Cole, because at the end of the day, we do not know how long Adam Cole is going to be out. Heck, we don't even know how long MJF is going to be out. So that is my major concern right there. My major concern is the severity of both of their injuries and how long they're going to be out for. Because, again, it sucks that we have to wait a while for the next Adam Cole and MJF match. But what I hope AEW does is really create a lot of hype. Create a lot of hype for Adam Cole versus MJF. Create a lot of hype for MJF's return. So once he does come back, the impact would be there, no pun intended, and everybody would be excited for MJF versus Adam Cole. The hype needs to be there. If you don't have hype on MJF once he comes back, what the fuck is the whole point of this whole storyline? That is my only concern, but I have full faith in AEW to do what they are doing. When it comes to Wardlow, do I see him winning the world title? Hopefully, but, throughout the last couple of times that they utilized Wardlow, I do not have full faith in AEW when it comes to Wardlow, because how many times have they fumbled Wardlow? A lot of times, but we're going to have to wait and see. But nonetheless, this was a great opening segment. It was straight to the point, and Adam Cole gave a great explanation. All right, moving on. We got our first match of the evening. We got Orange Cassidy defending his international championship against Dante Martin of Top Flight. This was a pretty good match. I really enjoyed the match. Orange Cassidy is hilarious. You had Dante Martin trying to play mind games with Orange Cassidy as well, but I think it was obvious that Orange Cassidy was not going to drop the international title to a guy like Dante Martin. With all due respect, I think Dante Martin is great, but he's not fit right now to become a singles champion. Let's be honest with ourselves. Right now, his focus is Top Flight and Action Andretti, and I do see them eventually, all three of them, becoming trios champions further on down the line later this year. But let's go through the match. We get a bunch of roll-up reversals. Orange goes for the bow and arrow. Dante escapes. We get a side headlock by Orange on Dante, and then we get a double knuckle lock by both men. Both men's shoulders are down. Then after that, Dante escapes and hits a kick, and then Orange then stops Dante, putting his hands in his pockets. Dante then doesn't fall for it, and then after that, we get a backslide by Dante, and then we get a near fall. We then get a cradle pin by both Dante and a kick out. Orange is on the outside, but then Dante runs to the outside. Orange goes back into the ring and hits an elbow suicida. And then Orange sends Dante to the barricade repeatedly. Orange then places his hands in his pockets, and then we get a pop by the crowd. And then Orange runs around the ringside area with the crowd hyping it up, and then he goes for a running shotgun dropkick on Dante on the barricade. And then what was so funny was that when Orange Cassidy was running around the ring and hitting that shotgun dropkick, after he hit that shotgun dropkick, the crowd was chanting, "You sick fuck." Think about this. The crowd at the Kia Forum at Full Gear, when Hangman Page was drinking Swerve Strickland's blood and spitting it all over the ring, that's a valid reason to chant "You sick fuck." But the crowd in New Jersey was so funny. They were being so sarcastic in a funny way that after Orange Cassidy hit a running shotgun dropkick on the barricade on Dante Martin, they were chanting "You sick fuck." That was hilarious. You gotta love the crowd in New Jersey. And yes, I am putting over New Jersey because I am a New Jersey native. Okay, I am a New Jersey native, and it's the greatest state in the world. Okay, period. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's better than New York, and I love New York, but New Jersey's better than New York. All right, Orange goes back to the outside, but then gets caught into a suplex on the floor by Dante Martin. Once we're back into the ring, Orange goes for the Stunt Dog Millionaire, but when they both try to counter each other's suplexes, we get an enziguri by Dante. After that, we get a springboard miss by Dante Martin, but then Orange goes back to the outside, and Dante hits the tope suicida. Dante is back in the ring and hits a springboard crossbody, and then we get a cover and a kick out. Both men push one another, but then Dante is playing mind games by mocking Orange Cassidy with his kicks. We get a thrust kick by Orange Cassidy, taking Dante to the corner, but then Orange does his, amazing kicks, but every one of those kicks have been getting harder and harder and harder. Of course, he's been doing this ever since the Jon Moxley match this past September at All Out. After that, Orange counters Dante with a tornado DDT. We get a cover and another kick out, but then Orange goes to the top. Dante then comes up on the second rope, but then we get a right elbow by Dante. Dante then jumps back up to the top, but then he leaps off, landing on his feet. Then Orange ends up hitting a diving DDT off the top rope, which looked pretty sick. Orange then sets up the Orange Punch, but then he misses. We get the beach break escaped by Dante, but then he picks up Orange. He ends up hitting a knee strike, but then we get a cover and another kick out. After that, Dante goes to the top, but then instead Orange rolls away. Dante then ends up hitting a running senton on the back of Orange Cassidy. Dante goes to the top again, but Orange Cassidy, being the wrestler that he is, loves playing mind games with his opponents, and he rolled away once again. But Dante Martin was not having none of it, and this spot was freaking awesome. So once Orange Cassidy was rolling around for the second time, kind of fucking up Dante Martin's plan, basically what he does is that Dante Martin walks the ropes, but he doesn't walk the ropes like Commander. Commander walks the ropes all the time during his matches, but Dante Martin just walked kind of semi to the center of the top rope and then hit a diving splash across the ring on Orange Cassidy. That was dope. I loved that spot. We get a cover by Dante Martin and a near fall. After that, Cassidy reverses in a crucifix pin, and then we get a roll up by Dante and another near fall, but then Dante misses the senton. Orange then catches him for the Orange Punch, but then we get a cover, and Orange Cassidy ends up retaining the International Championship. Great match overall. I enjoyed the match for what it was. Dante Martin is great. Was he going to win the International title? Absolutely not, but they showcased him very, very, very well. Of course, Dante Martin is 1/3 of Top Flight, and yes, I am now including Action Andretti because Action Andretti, if you really think about it, is now kind of a new member of Top Flight. After that, Best Friends in Top Flight with Action Andretti are in the ring. All of a sudden, Private Party. Yes, you remember those guys, right? The guys that beat the Young Bucks in the second ever episode of AEW Dynamite. Yes, Private Party. Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. Mark Quinn is finally back from injury. Welcome back, Mark Quinn. Private Party is back, and there are no Hardys. Yes, Private Party is all on their own. Thank God. I'm tired of the work that they were doing with the Hardy Boys. Look, the big money Matt Hardy thing was pretty funny a couple years ago, but it started to get stale, and I felt bad for Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, especially Isaiah Cassidy, once Mark Quinn got injured, I was like, bro, what are they doing with Private Party? If you really think about it, if they hadn't paired Private Party with Matt Hardy, it would have been so much better if they had won the AEW Tag Team titles. Could you imagine Private Party winning the AEW Tag Team titles? It's the same thing with Santana and Ortiz. You know, it's such a crime to me that Santana and Ortiz, a tag team like Santana and Ortiz, never won the AEW Tag Team titles. That is crazy. And now they're no longer together as a tag team because of real life issues, which absolutely sucks. But Mark Quinn has the mic. He says, allow him to reintroduce themselves. This is Zay, and he is Quinn. And they have been keeping tabs. I said tags. They've been keeping tabs on the AEW Tag Team division. And let's be real here, it's been kind of lacking. It's missing some flavor. It's also missing some excitement. And most importantly, it's been missing Private Party. Now, Isaiah Cassidy gets the mic, and he says, with that being said, they are putting every tag team on notice. That means Best Friends, Top Flight, FTR, the Young Bucks, even though they're taking time off right now, and even the Hardys. But listen, they say new year, new me. Well, we say new year, new champions. And if y'all feeling that, can I get a, oh yeah? And then the crowd goes, you guys know what I just said. That is great. That gets over. Overall thoughts. What are my thoughts on Private Party back? It's great that they're back. And yes, the tag team division has been lacking. If there was anything that has really gotten downhill ever since AEW first started a couple of years ago, it's the quality of the tag team division. When AEW first started, one of their main focuses was tag team wrestling. And I could say starting 2022, that's when it really started to go downhill from that. And 2023 was just on, like, you know, we had great tag team matches. They still have great tag teams. It's not the fact that they don't have good tag teams. It's the fact that there's just a lack of direction when it comes to the tag team titles, the inclusion of Ring of Honor, you name it. I don't know. The tag team division is not where it needs to be right now. And with the addition of a tag team like Private Party, it gives me a lot of hope that you can really bring the tag team division back where it really needs to be. So I'm glad that Private Party is back. And honestly, I wouldn't mind if you put the AEW tag team titles on a team like Private Party because they absolutely deserve it. They've been in AEW since day one. Think about that. Private Party, Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn, they have been in AEW since day one. They pinned the Young Bucks in the first match of the tag team tournament to crown the inaugural AEW tag team champions. And they never won the tag team titles. Never won the tag team titles. To me, that's a crime. That's a crime. How do you have a tag team this good in Private Party throughout the company's history, throughout the last like 4 or 5 years in the company's history, and you don't put the belts on Private Party? To me, that is a shame. A shame, in my opinion. But it's great that they're back, though. Hopefully they do a lot with them. Moving on. Toni Storm. Yes, Toni Storm, the current AEW Women's World Champion. She doesn't like New Jersey. She doesn't like New Jersey. She doesn't like New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen, which, you know what? There's a lot of people that don't like New Jersey, but your secret's safe with me. You're fine. You're fine with me. You know, you're lucky that I actually like Toni Storm. But Toni Storm, she cuts a backstage promo with Renee Paquette. Renee asks, what does 2024 look like for her? And then the first thing that Toni says is that, Renee, your perfume is very overwhelming. Secondly, I was very excited to come here until I realized that this isn't New York. This is New Jersey. She belongs on Broadway. And she decided to call it tonight, and she's headed to Manhattan. They're going to the Saudis, says Toni Storm. And they're going to have a sonnets with Stevens sometime. I don't even know what the hell she said, with all due respect. They're going to have a seance for Stevens. Stevens, whatever. I completely mispronounced that, and I fucked it up on my notes. And then Renee mentions Mariah May is having her debut match tonight on the show, and she's been begging for Toni Storm to watch her match tonight. And then Toni replies, darling, I don't watch wrestling. Besides, how hard can it be? The girl can do everything with paying her dues, and sort of better way to do it than wrestle in New Jersey. I love the way she says New Jersey. She was like, New Jersey. And then she's like, Luther. And she's like, scoop. And then Luther picks her up, and she's like, tits, shoot. And then she just basically like kicks off her shoe. Luther leaves with Toni Storm, and that is that. I'm telling you, there's a lot of criticisms in the AEW women's division. Toni Storm is not one of them. Toni Storm is absolutely amazing, man. I loved, Toni Storm is a former AEW Women's World Champion. When she first came into the company, she, I believe, became the interim champion. And then, of course, they had all that fiasco going on with Thunder Rosa, and then she actually became the legitimate champion until Jamie Hayter won the belt. But, man, this character development of Toni Storm is exactly what she needed. Because, let's be real here, the work that she's done with the Outcast is absolutely atrocious. The Outcast sucks, and it's not really the talent, it's just the direction. Remember when the Outcasts were first formed, and they were talking about how, they were going to, take over AEW, and they were going to, there was going to be this big giant storyline between the originals and the ex-WWE talent. Clearly that storyline went absolutely nowhere. It went nowhere. And then the Outcast just ran into obscurity. And thank God for Toni Storm that she came up with this new character, because now Toni Storm is doing the best work of her career. So hats off to Toni Storm. She deserves to be the AEW Women's Champion, and she's doing great. She's a phenomenal wrestler, but at the same time, her character and her promo skills are just top-notch. Moving on. We got a video package of Malachi Black and Buddy Matthews. They talked to FTR. They said, you want to challenge us? You want to fight us? Challenge accepted, but they want a place they can cut the deep. Let's do it in North Carolina. In front of my friends, family, and in front of his daughter, that being, of course, he's mentioning Dax Harwood's daughter and wife. And cash. If you find anyone that you love, bring them too. However, if they beat you, you'll have to walk up to their family and disown them as they walk back with their new family. Because don't worry, the tears that daddy will cry are not the tears of obsessions. No, it's your acknowledgement of your family that truly loves you. And then, of course, we have FTR taking on House of Black this Saturday on AEW Collision. Renee Paquette interviews Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana. I love the dance. I'm telling you, bro, everybody loved Swerve Strickland in New Jersey. And one of the things, and I'm gonna talk about that later on, but like when Prince Nana was out there, I was screaming constantly, "Hey, yo, Prince Nana, you got any weed? Where's your weed?" Because, Hangman called him out about his weed. Never mind. I shouldn't talk about that. All right. Renee Paquette interviews Swerve Strickland and Prince Nana. Prince Nana answers Renee's question about Swerve's opponent tonight, who is Daniel Garcia. Prince Nana says that Daniel Garcia is a very respected competitor, but does he realize who he's getting in the ring with? The boss of the bosses. Right, boss? And then, of course, he points to Swerve. Swerve is laughing, and he calls Daniel Garcia the Blue League guy because, of course, Daniel Garcia was a part of the Blue League in the Continental Classic. He talks about how he had a great showing in the Continental Classic, and the reason why he's getting this match tonight is because he respects the fact that he is after what he was after in 2023, and that is championship gold. Earlier tonight, he was talking about big pressure and how it doesn't fold, and, of course, that was a video package that they aired earlier on in the show. The thing is, big pressure is not about making diamonds when it comes to the Mogul Embassy. It's about making pain, and unfortunately, that is what is going to have to go through tonight for Danny Garcia. Pain. It's about making pain, and unfortunately, that is what Daniel Garcia is going to have to go through. Now, talking about 2024, he wants to accomplish something that he couldn't do in 2023, and that is championship gold, but not just any. First, he thought he was going to be addressing MJF, but clearly his body broke down. So he guesses it's up to him, Samoa Joe. He will be coming for championship gold, so be ready. And then Swerve leaves. Then Prince Nana just has this funny look on his face. He goes up to the microphone that Renee Paquette is holding, and he asks, "Whose house?" And then the crowd goes, "Swerve's house." So, Swerve Strickland is already putting his name in the AEW World title. He is calling out Samoan Submission Machine, the current AEW World Champion Samoa Joe. I love it. How many times have I went on this channel? How many freaking times have I went on this channel and talked about how Swerve Strickland is a superstar? I said this when he was in NXT, when they were doing the whole Hit Row gimmick, and then, of course, they got called up to the main roster, and they all got released. And then Swerve Strickland went to AEW. Of course, he had a short tag team run with Keith Lee. They became the AEW Tag Team Champions. And then, of course, they started with the whole Mogul Affiliates thing. That didn't work out. They merged with the Embassy, and now they became the Mogul Embassy. And really, in the beginning of from the summer all the way to like the fall, that's where really Swerve start to really come into his own. Take that back. Swerve was always came to his own, but that from the summer to the fall, that was really where Swerve Strickland started to get hot. And his feud with Hangman Page only solidified that. Swerve Strickland deserves the spot that he's getting. Of course, he's going after the AEW World Championship, and mark my words, he is going to be the AEW World Champion in 2024 because clearly he is a guy that could be a top heel in any organization whatsoever. So, yeah. And also, later on in this show, Swerve Strickland is going to be wrestling Daniel Garcia. Moving on. We got Mariah May's in-ring debut against Queen Aminata. Both women face off. We get a slap by May, followed by a kick by May. She then hits a right hand, and then she takes Queen down. We get a bunch of chops by Mariah May, and then we get a bunch of head scissors by Mariah May. We then get a running dropkick by Mariah May, and then we get a cover and a kick out. Mariah goes for the running shotgun dropkick onto the back of Queen Aminata. Once we're back from commercial break, Queen is on the top. Mariah May goes for the double overhand chop, but then Mariah goes for the head scissors, but Queen Aminata escapes. Then we get a slap by Queen Aminata. Then she goes for a second slap, and then a third slap. We get a bunch of clotheslines by Queen Aminata. After that, we get a kick to the back of Mariah May, and then she hits a running knee strike, and then we get a running elbow in the corner. Then she goes for an overhand chop. Then we get a running elbow once again by Queen Aminata. After that, she runs into a sling blade by Mariah May. After that, she picks up Queen Aminata. Then she hits her finisher known as the Mayday. We get a cover, and she wins her debut match in AEW. Renee Paquette comes in the ring, and she interviews Mariah May. She talks about how she can't believe it. She won her AEW debut. She wanted, to be a wrestler since she was a little kid, and the fact that she is in the ring in AEW, she hopes Miss Toni Storm is watching, and she is proud because it's the first Dynamite of the new year, and it's all about Mariah. But her only regret is that we had to do this in New Jersey. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Music plays, music that nobody knows, but it's fucking Deonna Purrazzo. And the crowd in New Jersey absolutely went ballistic for Deonna Purrazzo. Of course, right now, one of the biggest free agents in all of women's wrestling right now. She finished up with TNA or Impact at the time. Deonna Purrazzo, the virtuosa, is now all elite. The crowd is all over Deonna Purrazzo, man. People talk about how Impact is only a limited audience and, they only get like 100 and something thousand viewers on Access TV and they're not where they used to be. But clearly, if Deonna Purrazzo is getting the pop that she got in New Jersey, clearly more people are watching Impact than more than meets the eye. I'll tell you that right now. But the crowd is all over Deonna Purrazzo. Just huge. Big deal. She's sure we know this, but she is from New Jersey, says Deonna Purrazzo. And if Toni Storm doesn't want to be here, and trust me, we all don't want her here either, she has a message that she can pass along to Miss Storm. It doesn't matter where she runs or where she hides, she will find her. Because Mariah, she is all elite. She is all elite, and we are in the age of the virtuosa. We get a bunch of New Jersey chants by the crowd. Mariah replies, "She isn't the messenger. Tell yourself, bitch." And then Mariah May slaps her, and then Deonna Purrazzo, being the virtuosa, slaps her back in the greatest slap of all time. Seriously, Deonna Purrazzo's slap is 10 times better than Stephanie McMahon's slap, okay? And then she ends up hitting a boot, sending Mariah May to the outside. Overall, what are my thoughts on Deonna Purrazzo being all elite? Now, we do know that there was a chance that a free agent in the women's division could be making their debut leading up to the Newark show last night on Dynamite. We just didn't know who. There was a lot of speculation. A lot of people, including myself, were probably thinking Mercedes Moné could possibly be making her debut. But it wasn't Mercedes Moné, unfortunately, which is fine. I thought it was going to be Mercedes Moné at some point, but it ended up being Deonna Purrazzo, and that is not a bad signing whatsoever. I think Deonna Purrazzo is a phenomenal signing for the AEW women's division. Now think about this. I've been very critical on the direction of the AEW women's division for a long time. Even to this day, there's still a lot of criticisms regarding the AEW women's division. You know, there could be instances on episodes of Dynamite or Collision, there's like literally only one women's match on the show, and that is it. But if you really think about it, if you look at the character progression of women like Toni Storm and women like Julia Hart, they've really put in the work and really focused a lot more on characters and characters that really can be marketable, like people like Toni Storm, people like Anna Jay. And really, if you think about it, somebody like Deonna Purrazzo could definitely be a great addition to the women's division. I mean, when she was doing her work in Impact, she was starting to be deemed as one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. And now that she is in AEW, it only makes the women's division in AEW much stronger. And if you look at the list of names that they have on the women's division, now they have people like Toni Storm, Mariah May, Deonna Purrazzo, Julia Hart, and possibly Mercedes Moné. I mean, it is a big deal, and it is a big deal to have all these names. Now, my only thing is that even though you have all these types of names and you're probably on the verge of getting Mercedes Moné, my only thing is, what are you going to do with them? Because clearly the way that they debuted Deonna Purrazzo was not just any random debut, because if you guys do not remember, clearly the IWC was hyping Mariah May a lot on the internet, and the way that they debuted Mariah May was kind of lame. It was just on a random backstage segment. They introduced everybody to Deonna Purrazzo, and the crowd just went absolute apeshit. So hopefully, you know, they really have something for Deonna Purrazzo. Clearly, she is going to be a focus in the women's division, and rightfully so, because she's definitely one of the best to do it right now in all of wrestling. And if they bring in somebody like Mercedes Moné, it's going to be freaking huge, to say the least. But Deonna Purrazzo is all elite with all elite wrestling, and that is great. Congratulations to the New Jersey native, Deonna Purrazzo. Moving on, we got the Patriarchy. Christian Cage. Yes, Christian Cage had a phenomenal segment. Christian Cage and the Patriarchy, of course. The Matriarch, Nick Wayne's mom, Mother Wayne, has the microphone. And she's like, "You boo me? You boo a mother? How dare you?" Oh my God, you're scaring me already. She demands you people get up on your feet right now and you pay respect to the greatest TNT champion that has ever lived. Our father, the Patriarch, Christian Cage. Now, Christian Cage gets the microphone. And he says, "Now, if we all keep down while he conducts his business," let's listen to Christian Cage. To answer Tony Schiavone's question, it's been 200 days since he won this championship on the very first episode of Collision. 200 days as the champion. This man just lost the TNT title to Edge at World's End this past Saturday. And he won it back from Edge via the contract that Luchasaurus won himself. What a douchebag. What a douchebag. It has been an historic run for sure. Tony Schiavone questions him and says, Cage, if he interrupts him again, or Cage says that if Tony interrupts him again, he will have Mother Wayne put him over her knee and discipline him in front of these sweat hags in New Jersey, or these sweat hogs. These sweat hogs could use discipline themselves. So again, sit down and shut up. It's no secret that when he went through a war at World's End, he needs to thank some people. He needs to thank Mother Wayne, the matriarch, for being so loving and understanding the vision of a mother's work has truly ever done. Secondly, he would like to thank his pride and joy, the apple of his eye, his boy, Nick Wayne. This man is only 18 years old. His boy, Nick Wayne, who selfishly put his body on the line. Adam Copeland put this kid through a flaming table and almost ended his career at age 18. But he sucked it up, and stayed in the fight. And he would like to say he loves him, Nick. And then, of course, and lastly, and what happens is Christian Cage actually hugs Nick Wayne. That's how much love Christian Cage has for a guy like Nick Wayne. And lastly, he would like to thank the man that sealed the victory at World's End. And in the background, of course, you have Luchasaurus, a.k.a. Killswitch. And literally, he looks excited. The man that sealed the victory at World's End, The man that put the final nail in the coffin, that is Adam Copeland. He would like to thank himself. Killswitch is shocked and disappointed, and we get a bunch of Luchasaurus chants by the crowd. Now he feels that it is his duty to address Adam Copeland for what he hopes to is the final time. Because you see, Adam, he beat him twice. He is 2-0 against him, and his back is, he's at the back of the line. There are no more title shots for him, and he can stand here and make like that he grew up without a father or a mother that is no longer with us, and the crowd just goes shocked. And then the fact that he needs to wake up every morning and look at yourself in the mirror and realize what he's been telling you for years, and that Christian Cage is superior to you. He won't deny that he brought the fight at World's End. He'd like to think that they left the littlest of their souls in the ring that night. But the difference is that one of them doesn't have a soul. And that is the reason why he stands before you and still the TNT champion. So this is a warning to Adam and any other wrestler in the back that eyes for his title. What happened at World's End was just a glimpse of what he's willing to do to hold on to this title. And he doesn't want anyone to forget that this title was thrown into the scraps, and then he made it into the most prestigious title in this business. We get a bunch of Luchasaurus chants by the crowd, and the crowd gets pissed off. He says his name is Killswitch, and he continues to put over how prestigious the TNT Championship is, and he will remain the TNT Champion for as long as he wants until he will hand this title to his prodigy, Nick Wayne, to carry on the family legacy. He doesn't want anyone to forget that we are the patriarchy, and that they run AEW, and they are the faces of AEW, now and forever. Overall, great promo by Christian Cage. Great promo by Christian Cage. Christian Cage's heel work is top-notch. Top-notch, ladies and gentlemen. Christian Cage's heel work is just top-notch. One of the best heels in the industry right now. I mean, Christian Cage always was a great heel. Even when he was in TNA and WWE, he was always a great heel. But he took it to another level when he was in AEW. When he's in AEW, he took it to a whole new level. And he's doing the best work of his career, of course, aligning himself, or not aligning himself, or with Nick Wayne, aligning with Christian Cage, and, of course, Killswitch before Luchasaurus, aligning himself with Christian Cage, and now, of course, Mother Wayne, Nick Wayne's mom, being a part of this whole group. This is great stuff. Just great stuff. I do assume we're probably going to be getting a rematch further on down the line when it comes to Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. We just do not know when that is going to be the case. But also at the same time, the storyline involving Killswitch, aka Luchasaurus, I don't know, man. There's a lot of possibilities. I mean, Killswitch, feels disappointed that, of course, he gave up his title shot and he never got acknowledged by Christian Cage. That sucks. It really does suck. So I definitely do see something brewing right over there between both Killswitch and Christian Cage. But they're definitely going to be going long-term with that particular storyline as well. So overall, great segment by both Christian Cage and the rest of the patriarchy. Moving on, we got Saraya and Ruby Soho in a backstage interview. Ruby, of course, got the win against Marina Shafir last week with the help of Harley Cameron. Saraya says that she looks the part and Ruby appreciates her help, and from what it looks like, Harley is now a part of the Outcasts. Oh my God, Tony Storm dipped while the ship hasn't sunk yet. Harley says that she will prove that her loyalty as being a part of the Outcast, and says that she was willing to do anything. And Harley's kind of acting weird, and Saria's like, oh my God, she's so weird. Moving on, we got this match that I have to talk about. Of course, I'm talking about Darby Allin and Konosuke Takeshita. This match, we got to talk about the Darby Allin and Konosuke Takeshita match, because this match was crazy. If there's one thing that people are talking about this Dynamite show, if there's one thing that people are talking about when it comes to this Dynamite show, it's this frickin' Darby Allin and Konosuke Takeshita match. This match was crazy. To Konosuke Takeshita, right? Konosuke Takeshita absolutely murdered. And he absolutely murdered. That is the best word that I could describe this. Konosuke Takeshita murdered the hell out of Darby Allin in this match. We all know Darby Allin is the type of wrestler that puts his body on the line every time when he goes in the ring. If you think about it, and I made this comparison before, but Darby Allin is like a modern-day Sabu. He just doesn't care what he does to his body. He will do whatever it takes. But, bro, Konosuke Takeshita just ragdolled the hell out of Darby Allin throughout the majority of this match. It was absolutely crazy. So let's go through this match. We got a waistlock takedown by Takeshita. We got a roll-up by Darby, and then we get a near fall. We get a deadlift German by Takeshita, but Darby lands on his feet. We then get a knee by Takeshita on Darby, and then we get a huge back body drop by Takeshita, followed by a side headlock takeover by Takeshita, and then we get a springboard takedown by Darby. Takeshita rolls to the outside, but then Darby tries to go for the elbow suicida, but then lands into a furious knee strike by Takeshita, and then he drags him to the ramp. Takeshita then takes Darby, and then he applies a waist lock, and then he rolls down the ramp, hitting a German suplex on Darby on the ramp. Yes, that is exactly what I said. He rolled down the ramp, and he hits... So this is the thing. He was rolling Darby around twice. He rolled Darby around twice while having the waist lock applied down the ramp. And this man hit a German suplex. Once they rolled for the third time, Takeshita hit a German, and from what it looked like, it was a released German suplex. Darby Allin just got ragdolled from that German suplex down the ramp. I've never seen anything like that. It was insane. Takeshita's a freaking menace. Protect him at all costs. Once we're back in commercial break, Takeshita and Darby are on the top. Darby counters with a stunner off the top, and then we get the elbow suicida by Darby on the outside. Once we're back into the ring, Darby tries to go for the code red, but then Takeshita catches him and plants him down to the mat. We get a cover and another kick out. Takeshita then misses the knee strike in the corner when Darby rolls away, but then we get a running knee strike by Takeshita, missed when he lands onto the barricade and over the timekeeper's area. After that, Darby is off the top and he hits the coffin drop on the outside, but then Takeshita makes it at the count of 9. After that, immediately Darby, once Takeshita goes back into the ring, hits the code red. We get a cover into near fall. Darby goes to the top, and then he ends up hitting the coffin drop, but then Takeshita gets the knees up. And then we get a deadlift German suplex throw by Darby Allin. After that, we get a German suplex on Darby, once again landing on his face first. We get an inside cradle by Darby, and then we get a near fall. We got the crucifix bomb by Darby, and then we get a near fall. And then Darby lands into a lariat by Takeshita. A lariat by Takeshita. Don Callis then gives him the signal for execution. After that, Takeshita goes for the running boot into the corner, and then he takes Darby to the top. And he ends up hitting a German suplex off the top rope, and then we get a running knee strike by Takeshita. And then we get a cover, and Takeshita gets the win over Darby Allin. Overall thoughts on this match. This match was crazy. Crazy on all levels. And when I say crazy, I'm only being nice. This match was more than crazy at this point. Way more than crazy. Takeshita's a freaking menace. Darby is crazy for putting himself in harm's way all the time in his matches. It could be a good thing because he gains a lot of respect, but at the same time, I tend to get a little bit worried for a guy like Darby Allin whenever he goes through a lot of the spots that he goes through in all of his matches. But bro, Takeshita, man. Takeshita. I've never seen a German suplex the way we saw a German suplex done by Konosuke Takeshita on the ramp. That is crazy. That spot was out of this freaking world. Konosuke Takeshita murdered this man. This match was built for one man and one man alone, and that was Konosuke Takeshita. The way that Konosuke Takeshita has been booked in all of his matches, clearly he's been booked strong in his matches, but honestly, when it comes to the whole Don Callis family thing, to me, when it comes to the whole Don Callis family, it's not as impactful when Kenny Omega was there, because when Kenny Omega was there, like, the storyline, made sense, but now that Kenny Omega's out, it's just not really hitting the same. But I will say, Konosuke Takeshita and his heel run, to me, has been pretty good. I mean, Konosuke Takeshita is on a winning streak right now. I mean, he pinned Kenny Omega twice, and he ragdolled the shit out of Darby Allin. That's a pretty good track record, to say the least. But overall, this was a damn good match, to say the least. How many times do I have to say the least? Jesus Christ. Moving on. The Don Callis family is backstage. Takeshita speaks in Japanese, and then Don Callis says that next week, it's back to where it all started. Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. Sting is 25-0, but Don Callis, or the Don Callis family, is issuing a challenge. Darby, you should bring Sting. Takeshita and him will bring Will Hobbs, and they'll make it 25-1. And the match that is officially announced next week for Dynamite Homecoming in Daly's Place, it's going to be Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs to take on Darby Allin and Sting. After that, we got the four-way match to determine the number one contender for Eddie Kingston's Continental Crown. Of course, Eddie Kingston is the AEW Continental Champion, the current Ring of Honor World Champion, and the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. I'm not going to go through this match a lot. We had Trent Beretta, Brian Cage, and El Hijo del Vikingo, and Brian Keith. The crowd was chanting BK throughout the majority of this whole match. I'm not going to go through everything in this whole match. It was exactly what you would expect, chaos on all levels. Vikingo gets taken to the outside. Cage comes in. He climbs up the top. Trent comes in. He hits a German on Cage off the top, but then Cage is up. But then Trent hits a running knee. We get a cover into near fall when Vikingo comes in out of nowhere with from what it looked like, I think it was a 450 splash. Keith then comes in and hits a lariat on Vikingo, but then Keith takes Cage, but then Cage reverses. Cage picks up Keith and hits the F5. I completely forgot his finishing move. We get a pump-up powerbomb by Trent, and then we get the sit-out powerbomb, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Danhausen, who was in the front row, comes in, and he curses Brian Cage. But then what happens is Cage picks up Danhausen, but then Keith comes in with a thrust kick. Vikingo comes in with the thrust kick of his own and hits a beautiful moonsault off the top on the outside. Keith goes for a Saito suplex on Trent, and then he goes for a diving headbutt on Trent. We get a cover and a near fall, but then Trent counters Keith and hits a strong zero, or the strong zero, I should say. We get a cover, and Trent Beretta wins, and Eddie Kingston will face and defend his Triple Crown against Trent Beretta this Saturday on AEW Collision. Moving on. Daddy Magic is backstage, interviewed by Renee Paquette. Hangman Page, though. Yes, Hangman Page, after getting attacked by the Devil's goons, he shows up out of nowhere, and he is pissed off. He says, "You want to do an interview? A few weeks ago, Samoa Joe had a bunch of his goons put him through a car windshield. So he is here right now to beat somebody's ass. And if he can't find the world champion, he will find Adam Cole. But it could easily be you, Daddy Magic. Literally, anybody. I dare you. Somebody give me a reason to beat your ass." And he did find a reason after this main event was concluded. We have our main event. We have the future AEW World Champion, Swerve Strickland, taking on Daniel Garcia. The crowd absolutely loved Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland is over everywhere he goes. Daniel Garcia, his dance is starting to get so over. The way he was booked and the story that they were telling about Daniel Garcia throughout the majority of the Continental Classic was absolutely phenomenal stuff. And I do think Daniel Garcia is going to break out even more than he already is. Because he kind of did break out of the JAS when, he was the pure champion and all that stuff. But then he turned on Danielson once again, and then it was all a shit show at that point. But really, I feel like this is definitely going to be the year where Daniel Garcia is really going to come out on his own. He's already coming out on his own if you really think about it. But let's move on to this match. This match was very, very, very good. Granted, there was a botch that happened in this match, which I'll talk about. We get a shoulder tackle by Swerve. Garcia then faces off with Swerve, and then we get a shoulder tackle by Swerve. We then get a roll-up by Swerve, and then we get a near fall, but then we get a sunset flip by Swerve. Garcia goes for the pin attempt, and then we get a near fall. We then get the head scissors by Swerve, and then Garcia goes for the submission, but then Swerve makes it to the bottom rope. Both men get in, basically what happens is both men get in each other's face. Then after that, we get a kick by Swerve, and then we get a running knee strike by Garcia on Swerve on the outside. He then sends Swerve to the barricade. And what happens is Prince Nana is behind Daniel Garcia. And this was my favorite moment in the entire match. And had nothing to do with Swerve. It had to do with Prince Nana and Daniel Garcia. Both men face off, and we get a bunch of holy shit chants by the crowd in New Jersey. Prince Nana does his dance. He does his dance. After that, Daniel Garcia does his dance. And then what happens after that is Prince Nana does the other part of his dance. And then, of course, that leads to Swerve Strickland from behind to attack Daniel Garcia. But then Garcia catches him, and then he sends Swerve to the ring post. But then Garcia and Swerve are on the apron. Prince Nana grabs a boot, and then Swerve hits a boot, and then Swerve hits the Death Valley driver on the apron. Once we're back from commercial break, we get a running pump-up kick by Swerve on Daniel Garcia, followed by a series of uppercuts by Swerve in the corner. After that, Swerve mocks Daniel Garcia's dance, and then Garcia is behind him. Garcia then fights back, and then we get a running knee strike by Garcia, and then he ends up hitting a shotgun dropkick. After that, we get the Saito suplex by Garcia, and then we get a cover and a near fall. Swerve goes for the roll-up, but then we get a boot centered by Swerve and hits a backbreaker, which looks sick. Then Garcia goes for the overhand chop, but then Swerve catches Garcia and drives him down to the mat. Then he sends Garcia to the barricade, but then Swerve is in the face of Daddy Magic, and he pushes him around. After that, Garcia attacks him, and then he places Swerve on top of the announce table. The announce table for this Dynamite show was in the ringside area. And what happened was he applies the sharpshooter. But once he had the sharpshooter applied, both Swerve and Daniel Garcia fell off the announce table. And that was basically a botch, and the crowd in New Jersey were chanting, "You fucked up." Swerve goes back to the top rope. Garcia comes in as well, and then we get a superplex off the top by Daniel Garcia. But then Swerve counters and hits a suplex of his own. We get a furious knee strike by Daniel Garcia, followed by a running boot by Garcia, but then Garcia lands into a rolling flatliner. Then Swerve ends up hitting the house call. After he hits the house call, what happens is we get a cover by Swerve and a kick out. Swerve goes to the top. He hits the Swerve Stomp. And you would expect that it would be over. But what happens is Daniel Garcia kicks out once again. After that, we get a crucifix pin by Garcia, but we get a near fall. Swerve, immediately knowing he's kind of almost done, he hits the house call once again on Daniel Garcia and then hits the JML driver, and we get a cover, and Swerve Strickland gets the win in the match. Overall thoughts on this match, great match. I love how they showcased Daniel Garcia. I loved his interaction with Prince Nana. That was so entertaining, to say the least. Swerve, I mean, what else can I say about Swerve that hasn't been already said? Swerve is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Clearly a guy that you can build your company around, either as a babyface or a heel. It doesn't really matter. Swerve is over with the audience. Everybody loves doing the dance, the Swerve, whose house, Swerve's house. Everything about Swerve is just there. His promo skills, the look, the size, his marketability. Clearly he can be marketed as a top heel, and that is why I do believe he is the AEW World Champion. He has that crossover appeal with his hip-hop stuff. Overall, Swerve Strickland is the fucking man, and he looked really good in this match. Granted, the botch didn't really look good. About the announce table botch didn't really look good, but whatever, it's a botch. It happens. But nonetheless, Daniel Garcia looked great. Swerve Strickland looked great. It was a great main event after all. After the match, Swerve Strickland offers a handshake to Daniel Garcia, but what happens is Prince Nana, being the just, man that he is, low blows. He low blows Daniel Garcia. And what happens is Swerve just attacks, he just attacks him. He attacks Daniel Garcia. Daddy Magic tries to come in for the save, but then Swerve hits a low blow of his own. Prince Nana has the mic and he says, "You are looking at your next AEW World Champion." And then Hangman Page comes out. He was looking to kick somebody's ass, and clearly Swerve is the guy that he wanted to kick the ass of. And what happens is Hangman comes out, both men brawl, referees and security guards come out, and then what happens is Hangman jumps towards Swerve, and then vice versa. They got separated, and then Swerve all of a sudden broke away from all the referees and security, and he attacked Hangman, but then they all got separated again, and that clearly sets up a third match between both Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. Overall thoughts on the ending. I couldn't think of a better way to close the first AEW Dynamite of 2024 by having this angle play out between both Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. I absolutely loved the brawl, in my opinion. I know these types of brawls where like security guards and referees separate both wrestlers in the brawl, that tends to get overdone a little bit. Ever since John Cena and Brock Lesnar did it, WWE kind of overdid it constantly. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed these last few moments. Clearly, this feud is not over between both Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. How is this going to favor? When is the match going to be taking place? I would assume the match could possibly take place at the Revolution pay-per-view, but at the same time, Swerve Strickland did state that he was targeting Samoa Joe for the AEW World Championship. So how does Samoa Joe play a factor in this? How does Hangman Page factor in the main event scene regarding the AEW World title? We're going to have to wait and see, but nonetheless, this was a phenomenal closing segment. Sign me the hell up when it comes to a third match between both Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. The Hangman Page feud with Swerve Strickland made Swerve Strickland. I wouldn't necessarily say made Swerve Strickland, but it solidified Swerve Strickland as a legitimate player and as a legitimate main eventer. Clearly, this is a guy that could make main event pay-per-views for the next few years to come. So, yeah, this was a great closing segment to close off a great episode of Dynamite. Overall thoughts on AEW Dynamite, it was a phenomenal opening show to 2024. I was there. I had a great experience. Granted, I stuck around for the Rampage tapings, and I left halfway during the Pure title match. The Rampage tapings kind of sucked. Let's be realistic here. But nonetheless, I enjoyed Dynamite. Dynamite was a very fun show. The crowd in New Jersey really made it that way. A lot of the stuff they got right. There were some nitpicks on this show, but it is what it is. There's always going to be nitpicks in any type of wrestling show. But nonetheless, I thought Dynamite was a pretty good show, and I'm definitely excited for next week since they are going to return to Daly's Place, and we're going to be having that tag team match between Sting and Darby, and as well the Don Callis family consisting of Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs. So I'm excited for that. And yeah, that was my AEW Dynamite review from January 3rd, 2024. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Push that bell for notifications. Look out for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc channel in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And as always, it is Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys all later. Peace.